push tattoo time in front of me early on and get me acquainted with Mike Malone and Ed Hardy and Eddie Deutsch. He had a back piece from Eddie Deutsch. And I have this Rock of Ages from Eddie. I got it 222. And he was like, if you do anything in this first year of tattooing, go get tattooed by Eddie Deutsch. For sure. And I was like, okay, I got you, boss. And
hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Not Famous Tattoo Podcast. And we have a super exciting episode today. We have our first guest ever. We have Joe Swanson from Tattoo Pro Software.
Yeah, Tattoo Pro. Been a tattooer 29 years this August. Celebrated at Hell City, 29 years in the business.
Nice.
And that was great. And I work for, tattoo shop software called Tattoo Pro.
Okay.
We're made for tattooing and everything from hello to post heal we handle to help you run your business. So
that's interesting. Interesting. Yeah. How many have you been tattooing in a single state, location, shop? Have you moved around a bunch?
Yeah, moved around a little bit. I started in Monterey, California.
Okay.
I was working at young. I was in my early 20s. I was working at EPS. I was getting tattooed. I'd gotten my first tattoo in Minnesota for a guy who I ended up working for later.
Oh, cool.
And but I was in California, and I loved art. I loved skateboarding. I loved being creative. And a buddy of mine, Jeremy Swan, who still owns a shop down in LA called Broken Art Tattoo, he told me, hey, the boss man here at the shop, Gold Coast Tattoo, which Steve Hendricks was the owner of that shop. He doesn't own it anymore. I think it's still open in Monterey, but he owned it. And my buddy Jeremy was like, yo, he's going to be putting on some apprentices and you should bring in some drawings. And so I scribbled together some drawings. I had been into art my whole life. So I put together what I thought were a couple cool drawings and brought them in. And I don't even think that mattered because my buddy was vouching for
giving
me.
You the plug.
he had given me the thumbs up and Steve knew hey, as long as this guy stays connected with the people and can get along,
right.
It'll be a good fit because he's already friends with these guys.
Yeah.
And so that kicked it off. And I wouldn't say I had a traditional apprenticeship. I had an apprenticeship based on traditional values, meaning I was shown what a good tattoo was. I was taught to build my machines. I was taught to build needles. I was taught to treat the customer well. And then I was told, hey, hang out, make sure you help around the shop. And if you have questions, ask these guys. These are your mentors. Yeah, I'm your mentor, but Steve was really good to, push tattoo time in front of me early on and get me acquainted with Mike Malone and Ed Hardy and Eddie Deutsch. He had a back piece from Eddie Deutsch. And I have this Rock of Ages from Eddie. I got it 222. And he was like, if you do anything in this first year of tattooing, go get tattooed by Eddie Deutsch. For sure. And I was like, okay, I got you, boss. And so, I tattooed there. I tattooed there maybe a little less than a year. And then I went to Minnesota. I was going to finish up a business degree, which I did at St. Cloud State University.
Oh, okay.
And got a business degree with an emphasis in entrepreneurship, which was perfect for me. I went back to California and got a job at Picture Machine Tattoo, which was on still I think is on Geary Street, but it was at the 3940 Geary location, which is the classic location. Had been there. That's where Pat Martinuik had tattooed, and little shop. It had gone through a little bit of its heyday. It was in a revitalization. And I worked for Guy Martinuik there. And met his son Jesse, who still owns Body Graphics, now up in Reno, and still that family, third generation, still pushing tattooing in a positive direction. And so worked there, loved it, but I was blocks down from Marcus Pacheco and Grime and these guys that were tattooing just up the road at Primal Urge.
That's badass.
Yeah, it was super cool to be a part of San Francisco tattooing in the late 90s and seeing how impactful it was, going to art shows. And I got tattooed by Jeff Rescher and some of those guys in the town, and it was really cool. And having somebody that I was working for, like Guy, who had been around for the longest time, and his dad had been around for the longest time, and really again solidified those lessons that I had learned in my apprenticeship. And just was like, I remember walking into that shop, and Pat's Flash was still all hanging in the waiting room, and it was really fun. International tattooers coming through still at that at that time.
Definitely
worked with guys from Sweden and worked with guys from France, and really had a great
that's
time.
So inspiring to be around. And just see that unfold in front of you.
It's amazing. And I would encourage anybody. There's so much opportunity now. I'm like a little kid in tattooing these days. I have this youthful enthusiasm about it because there's so much opportunity, much potential. You can travel, you can lock into a shop that will allow you to do that. You build a community with the artists around you. There's so much, we were talking about earlier, so much information now. It wasn't like that. You really had to. I remember these moments where I unlocked painting Flash, and it was through a quick conversation with Seth Safari at the tattoo tour, Dennis Dwyer's tattoo tour in Miami. And I remember just like, I had my sketchbook, and I remember he told me Higgins Black Magic ink, and I was just like, holy shit, I gotta write that down. I can't forget that. And it helped me unlock, and so these days that's all there for you already.
Right.
So
I got a random question. Liquid acrylics or liquid watercolor?
That's a great question. Both, right? For what's your purpose and what are you trying to accomplish, the look, right? In 2009, I put out a DVD on how to paint tattoo Flash. And I talked about this. For transparent watercolors, if you want something that is, again, transparent, you want to see that spit shade pull through that stuff. You want to, oftentimes you can get a kind of a brighter look, I think, to it. It's a little bit more, maybe has a little different energy to it. And then liquid acrylic is so good for a deeper, sort of richer look. And so I like them both, right? But I'm not just a nib and hot press guy. I will use microns and Stettler pens and nibs on cold press, on hot press. It's, again, what am I trying to accomplish? Do I want that texture? Do I want it smooth? I've played with it all. And so, again, I would encourage everybody. I was a kindergarten and elementary school art teacher for a while, and I just encouraged my kids, and I would encourage everybody in tattooing, and this has always been my view, try everything. Just experiment.
I feel like people don't do that enough. Like when I started painting Flash, I was so like set into what I was taught, and it was just liquid acrylics and nibs or the microns. And I struggled for years to get like a soft fade. And I'm like, dude, what am I doing wrong? Like I'm not really a novice artist. This just isn't coming out. And then I'm frustrated because it's like, I ruined that wave. I ruined that wind bar, whatever. And I didn't really like sit down and just like have a piece of paper and just like play. Like I was already so focused on, I was good at art. So I was like, this needs to be good. And I have a bar, but I don't play anymore. I used to play to get here, but now,
man,
I don't know.
It's all play. Like in my opinion, and it's what I taught in my DVDs was I would just do these little football shapes, like, shapes of a leaf, maybe, They're nice because they have points to them. They have a little curve. You're going to find those like shapes in a lot of different things that you're drawing.
Yeah, you are.
And I was just like, just draw 100 of them on a page, 10 by 10 or 10 by 5, and just play with those fades and see what it does, see what you can accomplish. Play with a cat's eye brush, paint with a round, whatever. Just play around. And I think that is there's so many opportunities even in tattooing to do that now with the silicone skin and some of these other. It's not going to be the same.
No.
But you can play with your hand and see what it feels like. Yeah, totally. So you could test out a certain ink, or you could test out a certain wash or whatever. And so there's so much opportunity to play. Again, I think that's why if you have that right mindset, I think it's so exciting in tattooing today.
Yeah.
I had a college painting professor that was always like driving home, like, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to try new shit. Don't be afraid to ruin that canvas. Like, you're not going to.
No.
You can it's oil. You can just paint right over it, like, or acrylic even.
Right. I talked to Damon Conklin. He said one of the funniest things. So I worked at a convention with him. I was doing some podcasting up on the stage. It was here in Colorado. It was out in Vail. It was the what's the name of the Paradise?
Paradise. Was it a Vail or Keystone?
I can't remember. Maybe it was Keystone.
I think I went to that one in Keystone. That's where I met Damon Conklin and have followed him, but that's it.
Yeah. So we were sitting next to each other, and we were in a booth. I was tattooing and then podcasting that weekend, and he was painting the whole weekend. He was just painting with oil. And I was like, yeah, man, I've never really played with oil, a little bit of acrylic, but never played with oil. And he's like, yeah, man, I don't know how you do that watercolor stuff. It's like, diffusing a time bomb for me. He's like, any moment, it's just going to be like, boom. It's so much pressure. He goes, to your point, he's like, with acrylic, you can just paint over it. Right. If I mess up, or I don't like how this root is on this tree or something,
just let it dry and
right over it. Yeah, push it around. Over it. Yeah. So I love that. I mean, that stuck with me. I was like, oh, okay, all right. I love that. Like the idea of just like playing around with it and not just getting stuck in one medium, but pushing myself in another medium so that it might unlock something that pushes me in my watercolor.
Yeah,
definitely. I think multi-medium artists have a lot better chance of excelling in really anything. Like even if you're a sculptor, I mean, you still understand like shapes and shadows and all that. Like especially if you have a light on your object, like now you're really seeing like light points and all these things that are really important when you're doing realism or
totally.
It all translates.
That's the hot shit these days too, man. Black and gray realism. You walk around any tattoo convention. I've been to a lot of them this year with Tattoo Pro, and it is just black and gray realism all over the
everywhere, wall to wall.
Yep.
Do you prefer wearing or doing a certain style?
I would say I lean towards the American traditional, like Western traditional imagery.
For doing and getting?
Both, yeah. Now, I do, at the end of, I sort of semi-retired, I still tattoo privately, and I make a lot of different art, including tattoos. But the last probably 5 years of heavy duty, like full-time tattooing every day I was doing American traditional imagery mixed with black work. So I had stopped using color and was really just leaning into a lot of dot work, a lot of heavy black areas, sacred geometry. So I would design, whether it was on an iPad, early adopter for that, or whether it was like before that on tracing paper, I would use a golden mean caliper, like a physical caliper to figure out 1 to 1.618033 and so on to infinity. That ratio of shit you look at a skull, look at a dagger, look at a rose. Why do you think that petal looks great against that leaf? Because the leaf is probably in that ratio to that petal.
Wow. Yeah. Or, is that the Fibonacci stuff? Okay.
Yeah. So I got deep into that. I mean, it was, sacred geometry mixed with Western traditional stuff.
That's badass.
Yeah. It was super fun. I loved it. I got to really develop in that style, which was fairly unique at that time. And people were doing black work, people were doing Western traditional stuff, but they weren't mixing it as much. Okay. And then you just get the stark contrast of only using black. And it was really powerful. I enjoyed it.
Would you be willing to get us some photographs of your work?
Absolutely.
And we can pop them up on the screen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be great. Sure. I'd be interested in seeing that. It sounds like a really unique style and approach.
And it was fun doing it with color too. You know, I always used like, this is what I also, when I talk to artists, tattooers or otherwise, I always tell them just like principle of design, right? Know your elements of art, but know your principles of design. And you can use, what I would do is I would put a nice smooth fade of color next to a textured dot work piece. It's texture and it's contrast in the texture, right? So I'm using the design principle of contrast, and I'm using the elements of color and texture as
because you
to
can
make it pop.
You can get contrast from so many different
things.
You know,
people just think, oh, it's just dark and light, but
no.
You can do it with different textures and different line weights and different
smooth gradients.
Yeah,
even in your subject matter.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah,
a little dark in there. Maybe have a skull, have a rose or whatever for the light. You know,
that's the classic stuff, right?
Yeah,
like that's and I saw a guy just this last weekend here at the Colorado Tattoo Expo. He was from Utah, and he did this really wild, like black work that had these elements of like light women face that was like really beautifully smooth and illustrative, like right next to a really gritty kind of grimy skull. And the background was kind of similar with like smooth areas and then really sort of choppy textured areas and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
That's
super sick. I mean, look, it's everything's open to you nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I actually saw a kid getting lit up last night on Instagram because he was like probably 20 years old, good tattooer, and he was doing a lot of these things called like was calling it embossed tattoos, and it's basically like black and gray, and it's like a word or a logo, and it looks like it's like sitting inside of you pretty much.
Yeah.
And there was people just giving him shit, and I was like sitting there like, I don't want that tattoo.
Yeah.
But dude, like in a realm of like where everything's kind of already been done, now we got to kind of like collaborate styles and stuff to create new things. And I was like, keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. Like, don't listen to these fuckers. Like,
right.
I mean, I'm sure you do. We all go through the comments and it hurts a little bit, but like, stay the path, bro.
Yeah. It's fascinating because we
A+ for creativity for that.
Yeah, totally. And why not? You know, I wonder I would be interested to know where that idea came from. Did he see it somewhere? Did he see it on an illustration and then go, oh, I could do that with this tattoo. And then it convinces, right. We've always been in that place where we had some new idea that we wanted to do. And you somewhat convince one of your trusted clients.
I was like that one person.
Yeah, I know who's going to get that thing.
Right.
And then you go and convince them and they get it and it turns out cool. And then all of a sudden, like people want it. Yeah, people want it. So I love it. And again, there's so much availability in what you can do these days, who you can attract as a client these days, and anything really, I think, will resonate with at least somebody out there.
I think so.
So,
I mean, I always coach like newer artists or apprentices where I'm like, once you know how to tattoo competently, like you can pack color, you can pull a good line, all the things, like what's going to separate, like why are people going to come to you to get tattooed versus Josh or myself or anybody else that fucking tattoos?
Yeah.
And like, it starts right there on the drawing pad at that point. If you're looking to separate yourself, like you've got to do something different. Yeah. And it's going to start there.
And I would say, yeah, it can start on the drawing pad, but I think these days, and so maybe this is a little bit of pushback on that, it starts with the experience that you're giving them.
Yeah.
So you're giving them that a different experience that you're giving them is that you're exploring on the drawing pad differently than the next person down the street.
Right. No one has this.
Right. And then if you can stack a new experience for that client on top of it, it's not just, I'm going to put my headphones on, I'm going to tattoo you, and it's not transactional. It's experiential.
Right.
You're going to do fine in this industry.
Yeah.
It's the people that are still, and I know we've seen it like all over, this tattooer's leaving, this shop's closing, this industry, I just can't get with it anymore.
Right.
Well, yeah, you're going to keep having that because there was a lot of interest and a lot of people came in, and now there's a snapback to that. And go for it. Like I'm happy, if it's not right for you, go for it. Find something that's you're passionate about,
Right.
And let somebody else who can come in and sit down and think differently in front of their drawing pad or their iPad, and then also think differently about the experience that they're giving their client, because that's what clients want. They want a cool, fun experience. That hasn't changed, right? It's just what's changed is you can't just swing your doors open from noon to 8 anymore, expect people to walk in.
Right. No,
you still you have to do something to attract their attention, but then it's still about them. It's a collaborative effort between the tattooer who's providing a service. Yes, it's artistic, but it is a service. You would not have the ability to make that art if you didn't have that other person there. Yeah. I've said it before, like, what are you going to, okay, you can put it on silicone skin, but that's not the same.
Right.
So be grateful that person's there. Give them a really powerful, fun experience. Make it different than the next person down the street, or that, the kitchen magician, and it's like working out of their house. Everybody's got a cousin that's doing tattoos for cheap. So yeah, make it great.
We think that like kind of that shift of like having to be a little more creative in your artwork, be a little more entertaining in your experience, like on that end, and other things too. But like, I think that started like post-COVID.
I think so.
Where we got a flood of a lot more tattoo artists, and then now we have to like do songs and dances on the internet or whatever to try to be different or stand out or whatever.
Yeah, and I think like it was there at a certain point. People thought they had to do that. People thought they had to do the song and dance. But I think there's so many other ways, if you're uniquely creative, that you don't have to do a TikTok dance to get a client. Maybe you just have to dig into some more traditional marketing techniques for a business. And then once you attract them to that business, you give them, again, that great experience.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to do with being a dog and pony show. It can be just a great connected experience. Let them pick the songs that get the playlist, right? Give them some water beforehand. Talk to them. Ask them about the story of their tattoo. We're just talking about that.
Yeah.
What's the story? And then tell that on Instagram.
Yep.
Don't just post a picture of the tattoo. It says, "Oh, I have openings on Friday."
Here's what I did today.
Yep. It's like, tell the story of what you just got to experience. How much more powerful is that?
And they love
it.
I mean, clients get so upset when you don't post their tattoo, for one. But then if you go deeper into like, this person, I mean, you always need their consent. Can I talk about your story? But they love to like see a part of their life highlighted on a page that they really hold highly. Because they're just like, there's a little bit of magic in tattooing, right? And everyone wants that little bit of glimpse of like, I know that person, or I sat with that person. Like, it's not just a cool page online. Like, that's actually a human being you can go sit with and experience what I experienced.
Right. You know who's crushing that right now? There's a tattooer named Josh, Iron Right Tattoo out of Killeen, Texas. Okay. I gotta look up his page. This guy tells amazing stories, and it's not about, he does these really awesome like freehand tattoos. Shout out Josh, because I don't know the guy. I just was enamored with his content and the way that he was telling stories about the people that were coming to get tattooed. And he has a visual hook. He's got a verbal hook in his content. Every time he goes, "Hi, I'm Josh, and this is my friend Chuck," or whatever it was. Right. And then he goes into the story. He does these amazing freehand traditional tattoos and just showcases what that person got to experience and a little bit about them. It stood out to me as different than what I constantly seeing, and it was uniquely refreshing for it to out there.
I kind of making it more about the client. That's
when we scroll through, I don't think the public, even tattoo connoisseurs, I don't think they're scrolling and seeing 1,000 tattoos a day like we do. And
we're lurkers, man.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
we're always looking for the next inspiration, or what are they doing, and what are, you're just, and maybe comparing where do you fall into all this, and to see something that's like unique nowadays that actually is like, when you find yourself going to the page from the post and you're like 20 minutes deep down, like, oh my God, I'm in 2018
that's what I did
now, like,
but
that shit's like, whoa, you're doing something sick over here.
Josh Snyder Tattoos _IRT. Iron Right Tattoo in Killeen, Texas. And again, like, just super inspirational, super cool to see something unique in tattooing, and the guy crushes it. I mean, obviously, highest quality work too.
That's awesome.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been one of my favorite parts about this job is getting to experience other people, learning about what they do from their day to day, and how they make their money, and how their life's been, and it's some pretty awesome stories if you just listen.
Story time if you want it every day.
Yeah. I'm super excited, like, to talk to shop owners now. I've been a shop owner. And working with Tattoo Pro, it's like I get to talk to people running these businesses right every day. I get to in the middle of tattooing. I'm right in the middle of the industry, talking to all these successful business people that are trying to be successful business people, and they're figuring out what's working, and they're trying to use that creativity to. They're trying to couple the creativity with some like real standard business practices, because tattooing, whether we want to admit it or not, is professionalizing. And that is something else that I think we're seeing, this divide of shops that are still sort of hoping that it will go back to how it used to be, and shops that are adapting and running their businesses like businesses, and from lead capture all the way from hello to post heel. You are dialing it in just like, any other business. I go get my oil change. I'm going to get texts about it. I'm going to get this, that. I'm going to, talk.
Your car is now ready.
Right. Totally.
Here's your bill. Here's what we're doing today.
Yep. And you know what that makes me feel? More connected to that place. Right. People are so worried.
You're in the know.
Yeah, I'm in the know. I feel like, oh shit, I'm like, they're thinking about me. People are so worried about that technology making their experience feel cold. Bullshit. It's going to make it feel better. It's going to make them feel more connected. It's going to be it's going to diversify you away from those other people that aren't doing it.
Yeah, when I was in art school, I changed oil. Like, that was my little part-time job to give me some spending money in college. And I went the other day, a few months ago, got my oil changed, and I was like, this is way more of a professional experience than when I did it. Like, I was like,
around back.
Filter on. Cool. Clear. All right. And it was just like, they were like telling you everything they were doing, and like, that we recommend you do this within the next 10,000 miles or whatever. And then, like, they gave me a water.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the guy probably agrees. You're like, hey, I'm Chad. Do you want some water?
He did.
Like, oh, I love this.
We got these waters. These are great. Yeah. He's like, I love your truck, dude. Like, it's a completely different thing.
It's a personable thing.
I mean, we're still getting the oil change, but it's, man, what a better experience than what I was dishing out.
Right. Absolutely. Super, super fascinating. I mean, you see that this adoption to these different ways of doing business in all different areas, all these different industries. It's not any different in tattooing.
Do you think because tattooers, especially like if you've been in the industry 15 years or longer, it was a very like renegade pirate kind of like fuck the man. Do you think like we don't want to adapt to like business because like business protocol because we're like, well, that's like selling.
You want to be a pirate.
You know what I mean? But it's like,
I get it.
Dude, you could go to a Michelin star restaurant tonight and the food could be world class. But if the service is ass, like, do you really think you're going to recommend that to somebody? And that's just standard, like, customer service, bro. Treat people like people, and like,
I do think that has a part to do with it, right? When I came in, tattooing was still, I had full sleeves and I was different than everybody. It was still something that separated you from the masses. And now it is, if you don't have tattoos, you're separated from the masses because the masses have them. And so I think there's a couple different things, and I posted a reel about this one time and got blown up about it. But I think tattooers for many, many years were the show. They were the show, right? You walk in, it was a cool spot to be. They were the cool guy at the bar or the restaurant. They were the shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're not the show anymore.
The most interesting person in the room.
Right. It's not that way anymore because so many people are now doing it and it's so accessible and the walled garden is down and gatekeeping is gone and all that, which is, I think is great. That's fine. I don't mind that. I'm still cool as shit.
Right. It doesn't take away from us.
But like, I think that one of those things, going back to like when I was taught, what my mentor told me was that this is a service thing. Yeah. And you know who's the show? You know who's the star of this show? Is the client. Because they're marking something. And Lyle Tuttle told me this. I had many conversations with Lyle and a couple really good interviews with him. And he told me that this is a service thing. People are marking these moments that are super important to them on their body. Right. And we have the privilege and honor of doing it. Mm-hmm. So treat them like the show, and the show can keep on going.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think a lot of people forget that.
I think so too.
For sure.
Yeah. And so getting back to your question about like, what is it? I think it's a little bit of that. And there is resistance, to it. And I think it's weird because if you want to stay around in this business, you want to be in it another, for me, another 30 years, or for somebody that's been in it 5, you want to be around for another 10 or 15, then treat it like a business. Treat it like people want to badmouth and talk shit about corporations coming in. You are a corporation, man. Like every independent 1099 artist who's running a business, you're a corporation. You should be, at least. Right. If you don't want to pay a bunch of taxes, and I know everybody's concerned about that, especially in California and these other states that charge so much.
Mm-hmm.
You're a corporation. You're the CEO of that business, and you should treat it as such. And if there's tools that are gonna help you do it better, faster, more efficiently, then dive into those. This is like, I was talking last week when I was here, and we were talking about this waterfall moment in tattooing where digital drawing was starting to become a thing. Mm-hmm. 2010, it was not, right? There's a few of us that were doing it, trying to draw on the iPad. We were maybe drawing on Wacom tablets because we were seeing graphic designers do that. Mm-hmm. And we started to realize that there was time saver. Efficiency. I can actually do 2 more tattoos in the day because I wasn't back and forth to the copy machine, enlarging that hand or that head or whatever, that flower 4 different times for you. I just whoop, 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 like it's done.
Print.
And print, right? And so by 2015, everybody was on it. If you weren't on it, you were still on yellow tracing paper with a red pencil, you were behind the times. Now,
not everybody was on it.
Yeah, well, I get it. But at some point, and I'm not saying anything bad about tracing paper and red pencil. Like that's what I came up on, and I still use it. So I'm one of those that says I'm not going to throw away anything. If it works best in this moment, I'm going to use it. So I might start on the iPad, and then I might go, God, it's not working. So let me print that off. Let me take it to tracing paper, fiddle around with it a little bit. Now I'm going to take a picture of that. I'm going to put it back in the iPad, and I might go back and forth a little bit. So the point is, you have to adapt at some point to be efficient. I feel like a business should adapt and move forward.
Once I got on board, I was like, man, I wish I started this 8 years ago.
I fought him so much. I'm like, I get it, bro. Like, I get the process, and I get like the cathartic feeling of like paper and pen and erasers and all the things. Like, so just side note, like, I do all of the paper and Flash for fun now. Mm-hmm. Like when I want to get my hands dirty and I want to use pencils and I want all that, it's like, that's for fun. But when it comes to my business and being efficient, like you said, you can do more tattoos. And then the times when we were busy and walk-ins were coming, I'm like, bro, I do not have time. Right. Like I'm trying to knock out 4 people right now. I don't have time to sit here with the pen and paper and like it's just not really efficient.
Yeah.
At a certain point.
What do you think it was? Like, what was the resistance to that at that time? Do you remember what was going through your head? And then what was the turning point that you were like, okay, let me try it? And how is that transition for you?
I've always done a lot of freehand work, so I didn't see much of a use for it because my typical approach would be like, I'd have a couple reference pictures, both of what I was tattooing, but also maybe a couple of tattoos of similar subject matter. And then I just sit down and draw that on the client and then go.
He's like that guy that does the smiley face on the arm with the Sharpie and then tattoos a portrait.
Right.
So it's like annoying, you know, from sitting from the outside because I can't do that. But it's like, he's just not one of those people that like really needs a stencil like that for his style.
Yep.
And then I
is what I gathered.
That's true. But then I had a few experiences where I remember, I think I was telling Josh about this recently. I had stenciled a pretty good sized thigh tattoo on this girl, or not stenciled, freehanded it. And I'm like, all right, like I get done doing it and I'm like, let's go to the mirror and check it out. And she's like, and it took me like 2 hours to draw the fucking thing on. And then we go to the mirror and she's like, I mean, I was really thinking like bigger, right?
Oh shit.
And I was like, crap. And so I was like, oh shit, you know what I'll do? I took a picture of it. I printed that off on the photocopier in the back room and then enlarged that photo of my Sharpie. And then made a stencil of that. And then that was my thing right there. But then I was like, I was thinking, I mean, I had to get creative.
We gotta save some time.
Because I was like, I do not have another 2 hours to redraw this.
Plus we got a tattoo today.
But like, I think after that experience, I was like, seeing Josh like dealing with a client where they're like, I was thinking about 3 inches bigger, you know, and he's like, cool, send that to the stencil printer. Like, you know. And then the other thing is like, a lot of times, like when my client walks in the door, I mean, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours before we're tattooing. By the time I say hello, get caught up, draw it on. So those were the convenience of it was what maybe swap.
And I think like that's what I'm seeing and hearing in tattooing right now, why people are using, you know, tools like Tattoo Pro, because it's a convenience thing. They see like, okay, if I did 5 tattoos today and in a day from now I got to think about going back and shooting a text out to them, or I'm doing, you know, 2 appointment reminder texts to everybody, that's 10 texts. Like, I don't have time for that shit. Like, so if I can automate that, like, okay, you're booked. I got your deposit. I know that those texts are going to go out to remind you, and I can focus on drawing. I can focus on the fun shit. I can have extra time.
Don't have to send out healing instructions again.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it, man. I own my own shop for a while, and there was nothing quicker that would pull me out of the creative flow of tattooing and then a bunch of admin shit.
I gotta do this.
Right. Yeah.
This person's waiting.
Yep.
It kills you.
Yeah, it was tough. So I love to use that analogy about, because it resonates with artists and shops, like of, I felt how that worked with the iPad and how much it made my job more effective and efficient. And now I can do that with technology and my booking and my lead capture and my automated reminders and collecting a deposit and all that stuff that is the business side of it. Remember, we're the CEOs of our own business. So for sure, you know,
I have a really bad case of ADD and like getting in a flow state, and like on the other end of what you're saying, I can sit down and draw, and until my hand's shaking and my lines are no longer clean, that's when I stand up. And then I'm like, holy shit, it's been 6.5 hours. Like, but now I have 18 texts and like, I gotta eat. And now I'm like in this panic mode of like, fuck, what's more important, food or texting people back? Now I'm losing clients potentially because I'm not like talking to them, you know? And so I'm like, that on the other side of the coin, you can lose clients.
Yeah, absolutely.
By not actually texting people back.
And this just speaks to the idea of, okay, we have systems in tattooing, right? We have a system of the way we set up. We have a system of the way we set our machine up. We have a system of the way we draw. We have a system to do our consultations, to get the right information, to make sure that that story is going to be told appropriately visually. And it's no different than putting a system in your business to respond to those texts, to, you know, do all the other things that surround me creating business for myself. So yeah, I love seeing that there's new opportunities in tattooing for people who are forward thinking and want to thrive in this business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So switching it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Where was your favorite place that you've tattooed?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What states have you tattooed in?
So it started in California, Minnesota, Nevada, Hawaii, probably a few other places in the U.S. But I did a lot of tattooing in Minnesota. That's kind of where I cut my teeth.
Okay.
And then a lot of tattooing in California, both Northern and Southern California. Okay. Probably my best tattooing towards the last decade of working, 8 years of working was in Northern California, and just had aligned with the style that I was doing and really was super high level clean work. And but probably my favorite place, Hawaii.
I was going to ask, what was it like getting supplies in Hawaii?
So I went out there and I guest spotted first to get my license. It was a time where you had to go in twice a year. They would hold the test. You had to go out there, take the test. You had to study for it because it was pretty intense.
Wow.
And so I went out there, did a couple. That trip, I wasn't supposed to tattoo, but pirate shit.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. I brought my stuff. Why not?
Yeah,
my buddy's cool enough to let me take a few, flowers and turtles.
Right.
That was cool, and it was a fun vibe. And then I went back when I got married, and I went back with my second wife. And we honeymooned there. We got married on the beach in Kauai and on the north side of the island.
Awesome.
And then we watched my buddy's house, and his business, right? So he went to a convention in Columbus or somewhere, and we got to run his shop.
It's you had the whole setup.
It was cool, man. It was fun. And I have a wild story. I ended up with 18 stitches in my toe that trip, and got locked out of me and my wife at the time got locked out of his house naked. Oh. And it was a wild experience, but super fun. And I think the vibe there was just cool. It was a mix of local people who I didn't tattoo a lot of, because I think you got to be settled in there for a little bit to attract that, right? I knew my buddy was going to come back and he would tattoo those folks. So set him up for those. But then it was a lot of tourists, and they would come in. They're experiencing something totally different being there on the island. Mm-hmm. And you would book them out a few days before they were going to leave, or a day before they were going to leave. Right. And come in. Again, it was a lot of flowers, which I love flowers.
Hell yeah.
A lot of hibiscus flowers, and a lot of tribal turtles and that kind of stuff, which again, but they're paying great money for it. And they're on vacation. They're usually in a great mood. And it was just a really fun vibe. So, yeah. And then you go out to eat for sushi, and it's the best sushi you ever had.
I was just listening to someone that was saying that he moved down to Escondido, Mexico. Okay. And he was doing big stuff. I can't remember his name, but he was doing big stuff in the States. He lived in New York for a while. Yeah. Mainly American traditional, and some Japanese. And they're like, what's it like living down there? What's your clients like and everything? And he was like, dude, it's what you just said. Basically, a lot of tourist stuff, like palm trees, pineapples, you name it, beachy stuff. And they're like, do you ever get sad that you're not tattooing big pieces anymore? And he was like, not really, because everyone's so happy all the time, and it's just a chill day every day. You just do 4 bangers and go home, eat fish tacos on the beach. Right. So
two things that come to mind there, 2 stories. The one first is just about marketing. It's about what I hear a lot of people who are in those areas that our tourist base or work on a real like community sort of area.
Right.
This kind of speaks to the regional talk that we were having earlier about tattooing sort of going from this really big global thing down to like, you better lock down your neighborhood and your region. And it was aligning yourself with all of those hotel concierges and those bartenders and those waiters and waitresses and taxi Uber drivers and giving them cards to refer you.
Right.
You lock down a super solid referral business, you can eat great in those places. Let alone, there's like in Hawaii and certain islands, there's military base there. So you lock down the military, those people typically are down for great work. They have money and they want to spend it and they want to have a good time.
Yeah.
So I learned that when I came up in first tattooing in Monterey. I was 6 blocks from the Defense Language Institute and the old Fort Ord. So we had a college and we had military, and it was just like
sick
amazing.
Combo.
Yeah, sick combo, right? So, and then the other story that came to mind there was a story where Aaron Kane, if you don't know Aaron Kane, just go look him up. Great machine builder, insane tattooer, was in and around San Francisco during that, middle 90s era.
Okay.
And I still think he probably has machines through Workhorse Irons and stuff like that. Yeah. But he was doing real big biomechanical work, like large scale work, which a lot of those guys were doing. And at one point he just got burnt out and he went down to Florida and he just got a job basically tattooing on the boardwalk, some boardwalk down in Florida, and doing little jammers all day long. And he said it was like, so what I heard was he was the happiest, right? Because it was like no low level commitment. The people were super stoked.
Right.
You could have a quick connection and then they're out. And
it's got to be super stimulating doing 5 tats in a day versus one that you've been stressing out for 12 hours.
So I just think like so nowadays people can curate any of those kind of experiences for themselves. I think that's cool also in tattooing right now, where you have the opportunity to curate a really high-end experience or a really like street shop type of experience.
Right. Yeah.
That also is high-end, but like they're different vibes.
For sure.
I think honestly, like you just birthed an idea. I think artists who do large scale predominantly should have like when I was in Los Angeles and going to school in Santa Barbara, I always wanted a back piece from Torres. Like that was just, but then I realized it was like, this was probably 2016 when I was really looking into it. And he was like kind of at the peak, especially in LA. And I mean, he still is.
Yeah.
Love the dude. But
around Carlos Torres.
Yeah.
I interviewed him around that time.
Oh, really? Yeah. And I mean, like, just never idolized someone more being that age. I was like, I want you to do my back. And I mean, I still think he's the greatest. But the booking process was like a couple years. It was like minimum X money. And I was a poor college kid. And then when I moved to LA, I was still poor because it was LA and I was an artist. And so I was like, I'm never going to be able to get a tattoo by this guy. And so I'm just going to start my back. And like, and this was years later, he started doing my back, which super thankful for. But what if he did like one day a month of like palm size tattoos?
Right.
There's a lot of artists that only want to do bodysuits and back pieces, but it's like, I still want a piece from you before you stop, because eventually we all get burned out. And I think everyone should like offer maybe one day every 2 months. Like,
it's an interesting concept to like think about.
I know it's more work and they may not want to do it, but it's like,
but I think from a couple different levels, it could be useful in the sense of how many times have we done that palm size tattoo that turned into a sleeve because the person was like, oh my God, that was so great. And then you start to talk to them about this next thing. And all of a sudden they're booking multiple sessions with you for a bigger piece.
Right.
So it could create a situation where he's curating those future clients 2 years down the line that had such a great experience. And then also he could probably charge that premium, push himself in a certain way differently artistically also. And so you're getting paid to really experiment. And
because for someone like that, I don't care what the subject matter is. Like,
Right.
I just want a tattoo from
Yeah.
you. So, like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Really.
One of my favorite oil painters throughout the years is Jeremy Mann, and San Francisco guy as well. And I always wanted to like own a Jeremy Mann original, but that's like, I mean, a 4x6 is like $1,500.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do prints. So I had this similar struggle with like these tattoo artists that like, can you just do like a banger one day a week? Like, and with Jeremy Mann, I was always like, man, I wish he'd at least do prints. If you're going to have, because like a painting, like a 3x5 painting original from him is like $40,000, you know, and like,
not accessible to everyone.
Not accessible to everyone. And then in addition to that, he wouldn't do prints.
Yeah.
And I remember during COVID, I got an email because I follow like his gallery that represents him. And they're like, Jeremy Mann is releasing like limited edition prints. They're going to be on our website, available for sale, first come, first serve, this Friday at like 10 a.m. Mountain Standard. So I'm like, got my laptop open. I'm ready. Friday morning. I'm like, fuck yeah,
it's
finally.
Like a Supreme drops.
Yeah.
So one time Supreme drop.
And I get on there, and there's 2 prints available. They are $2,000 each.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, what a dick.
Gotta be so ready.
Yeah, like, finally offered prints, and then like, they're just like, I could literally save money and buy an original at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't you get one, though?
What's that?
Did you get one?
And then a few months later, the gallery did that again. They're like, he's doing 2 more limited edition, hand signed, hand numbered prints. And I was like, fucking great. These are going to be like $4,000, like whatever. Yeah. But I was like, really wanted it. So I went on the same thing. They were like Friday, 10 a.m., blah, blah, blah. And I went on there and they were like $250 bucks. And I was like, done. Thank you. So
interesting.
But it's like, it would have been cool. Like years ago, like I always wanted a piece from Jeff Gogwe. Yeah. And I took a couple of his seminars. He was very, very inspirational to me as a young artist. But it's just, I don't have that kind of money. And like, there was a while where he was like, I'm not doing anything smaller than a back piece.
Right. Yeah. So. Fascinating how those, there's different, I mean, you can take this industry or this craft in so many different ways, and you can develop to that place where you're like the Jeremy Mann of tattooing, and you're doing that, and you can charge whatever you want. You're the Gogways and the Torreses and Nikos and all those people that are doing it, or you can serve a different community. You can serve your local community of like hardworking. I always loved tattooing military. I always loved tattooing construction people. Save for sometimes their skin was not the best. But
amen to that.
It was
lotion, guys.
Lotion, sunscreen.
It's a real thing.
But I love tattooing blue collar. They typically had $250 to $750, and they were ready to go, and they were open to good cool shit and great stories and good people to hang around with. And so, again, that speaks to the idea that you can curate whatever sort of experience you want here. It depends on how you set yourself up, what marketing techniques you use, what, again, systems you develop in your business, and where you're at.
Right.
A lot of times it depends on where you're at.
Someone did put a light on that the other day in the same podcast I was listening to with the dude that moved to Sailito. They were saying like the age of like going to the bar and dropping cards like may not work, and also like know who you're marketing to. Do you really, is that the clientele that you want that hangs out? And like there's like 10 different levels of bars you could be going to. There's like high-end $50 drink bars, there's dive bars, like but you gotta like, you can't just, because they were talking about Instagram ads and Facebook and Google, and it's like you really, like we all have our perfect client in our head, right? And like you have to like be dialed in your marketing rather than just shooting it out to like you could go on Instagram and say interests, tattoos, art, I like sports, I click sports, whatever. Like that is a broad net.
Yeah.
I gotta like dial it down. And by the way, if you click tattoos and art, you're probably advertising to tattoo artists, like
right. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
have homies in the shop that can probably do
Right.
most likely what you do.
Yeah.
So like they're not gonna, you know. So
that's where I do think again it gets to a place where two things. I think hire somebody that knows how to run ads really, really well, and maybe even you can learn from what they're doing as they're building that audience for you. Make sure it's running regionally, and then take the idea of dropping cards at the bar and just flip it to what's current.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you might walk into, I've said it so many times, and I say this because I have wisdom of experience with this. My son's mom works at a dentist's office. You know what's sitting at the front of most dentist offices? Ladies who make good money who have tattoos.
right.
You want to curate some intentional clientele that has money, that loves art. Walk into a dentist's office or whatever business. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dentist's office, but that's just the example
It's out of
that
the
I
box,
know.
and that's
Right.
true.
And again, it's regional. Get up and out of the shop one day a week and go and print out cards again and have them ready. QR code to your Instagram if you want, or a website.
Yep.
So then, and make sure there's an easy flow for them to get in touch with you.
Right.
Like as an example, we're going to be doing a webinar through Tattoo Pro on the 14th of October, all on our opportunities flow. So most people, most shops, most artists have a website and they have an interest form. Hey, get tattooed by me. You click on that. It's name, email, phone number, budget, any pictures. You know, have you worked with an artist before? What's your idea? When are you trying to get done? And where does that go? It goes to an email. And now you're sifting through some old antiquated email. Speed the lead's horrible. The flow of that client through your journey is scattered. The communications are poor. Get it all into one place. This is what we'll be talking about, why email's outdated and how you should operate. Should operate where it drops into one opportunities area and in like a CRM. And that's the one place you're checking every day. And now you can easily communicate with those people. You can track their flow. You can pull a deposit super easy. You can get them on your calendar that's centralized. Man, again, talk about saving time, which is saving money these days.
Yeah.
And if you couple that, a system for capturing and leading your client down a really cool experience and journey with getting regional and intentional, to your point about client acquisition and where you're like advertising to clients, again, you can crush it in this business.
Right. Yeah. I had a mentor early on that coached me to he's like, bring up work tattooing, what you do, into any conversation, any chance you get. Like, it's like, you go to Starbucks on your way home. Yeah. They're like, oh, how was your day, man? You're like, oh, I had a really great day tattooing. I love my job. Oh, you're a tattoo guy.
Right.
Or you go out to dinner that night and they're like, you know, how's your whatever, and figure it out, factor it in, you know, and that could be good because everybody at least back then they want to know a tattoo artist outside of the tattoo shop,
and everybody I think most people still find it intriguing.
Yeah.
So
to have a connection there.
Yeah, to have a connection there, and to just dig into. This is the age of information, like you said. It's an age of connection. And so getting in real life, IRL connection is pretty cool. And people love that. And I agree with that mentor. Everybody within 3 feet of me is a potential client.
Yeah.
Everybody within 3 feet of me is a potential client. From the time I started tattooing till today.
Yep.
And having tattoos now doesn't mean I'm a tattoo artist.
Right.
So you kind of got to work that into.
Yeah.
Someone was saying the other day, let them talk about themselves because everyone loves to talk about themselves. And then when the opportunity arises to maybe say something about yourself, drop that in. And then all of a sudden going back to being a little more interesting than most people in the room, people want to know. And they're going to start asking you questions. They find out you're cool. That may be a new client.
And to me, I've read it multiple times. You want a great book to read. Everybody out there, you want a great book to read. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. You want to know how you get that client is you let them talk about themselves, and then you let them talk about themselves, and then you let them talk about themselves, and then you say, hey, come by the shop and you can talk about yourself.
Right.
And I'll tell that story.
And I will listen for as long as you're willing to pay me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And genuinely, like I used to be a painter when I lived in LA, and I wanted to go down like the gallery route. And then I just realized the bureaucracy of galleries, I just wasn't into it. And on a lot of levels. But I also realized sitting in a studio or my garage or an office in my house, like, I don't like to be alone. I don't think I was put on earth to like sit in a room by myself and paint 10 paintings that I'm going to go out and show in 3 months. And I'm going to have one night where I get to like be myself and talk to people and interact. And like, I was like, I'm going crazy. You know, you don't know what day of the week it is. You don't know. You're so lost in your own little world. And that personal connection to me is like everything in this job.
And it is to so many people, to the clients too. That personal connection is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Like 100%. I have clients that like just text me to ask how my week is. Like,
I love it.
Talking about like, I hit a raccoon in my car yesterday. I need a new bumper or whatever. I'm like, we're just talking. Or they're like asking advice because some of them are young and they like don't have like an older brother or dad, and you become like a mentor in their life. And, like I get a lot out of those conversations and those like friendships that it's not just the client. I mean, we are, but
well, it's you're making it back to what I said earlier is you're making it not transactional. You're making it experiential, and that experience bleeds over into daily life and a deeper relationship than just client and tattooer or service provider and you know, art getter.
Yeah, I remember my first tattoo in the 90s, early 90s, was like, drove to a tattoo shop. First one I saw, pulled off the side of the road, went in. And I think that guy said 3 things, like, what do you want? Get in the chair. That'll be $125. And the rest of the time he was just smoking a cig and like tattooing me.
Yeah.
And then I went, I don't know, like probably 6 years ago. I was going to get a tattoo by Ian Robert at Larimer Street. Yeah. And it was that little rose right there. Yeah. And I figured, I was like, it's not going to take him very long, you know? And I went down there and I was like, it was an evening appointment. And I get in there and he's like, you know, he's got his like waiver for me to fill out. I'm doing that. And he's like, so, you know, and he's kind of setting up and like doing things. He's very fidgety. I don't know if you've met him. And he's like, all right, now, before we begin, like, are you good for about the next like 5-6 hours? And I was like, it's a baseball sized rose tattoo, bro. And he's like, I know, but to you, it's just a tattoo, but like, I want to get to know you. Like, we're going to have an experience today. Like, you'll probably be here till like 10 o'clock at night. Is that cool? And I'm like, that's fucking
like a flat rate.
Cool as shit. Yeah, it was $150.
Oh, damn. Wow. All right.
$150.
5
hours? Doing this like rose special, and it was like any rose, any way you want it. But he was really pushing the kind of the charcoal style that he does, and and that's another thing I thought. I was like, it's gonna be $150 tattoo. I'm sure he's going to want to just like
get it done,
bang it out, and get me out the door. And no, man, me and that guy had like a super great conversation. Awesome. I was there. My appointment was like 5 p.m. I did not leave till like 10:30.
And I think there's a balance to that, right? There's a balance to nowadays to efficiency and connection. And you maybe if you were just zipping through it, get them in and out, it can be an hour, hour and a half. Well, maybe you take that extra 30 minutes, that extra 45 minutes, dip back in. I always used to love to take an extra 15 to 30 minutes. Tattoo's done. Right now, I'm going to just sit and look at it, and I'm going to kind of go from bottom up, and I'm going to just nitpick it, right? And I'm going to tighten up these little things, and I'm just going to button it up. And while I'm doing that, I oftentimes took that as the time to talk to the client about their next tattoo.
All right.
And I can't tell you how many times that turned into the next booking right then and there. One, they felt like, oh, wow, he's taking extra time with me.
You really care.
I really care. And two, I'm making an extra connection with them, asking them about what they're interested in. And what have you thought about the next one? Evan, we're almost wrapping up with this one. What's the next plan?
Right.
I make an assumption that they're going to get more tattoos.
Right.
So
that's super interesting. Because, I mean, I actually, a little gold for you guys. Like, I take a picture now and I like separate myself, go in the back room and like really zoom in on the photo, because that's when I used to like go home and I'd be laying in bed trying to post, find my good pics. And I'm like, fuck that leaf. Like I didn't like connect the line or the shading on this side of the face or whatever, you know? And like, I notice things way better. I don't know if my eye is more trained to like dissect tattoos on my phone because I see them on my phone all day.
I think
and it's just easier when
there's something
a
about
sleeve is now this big and you can really pinpoint like that spot or whatever. Because when I'm looking at it on the arm, I'm like, you know, it looks good. I mean, with trad, I can notice fast, but my black and gray stuff, like things go unnoticed when I'm in the groove and I'm working on, because I'm, again, ADD. I don't look at the whole stencil. It freaks me out. I'm like one line at a time, one shape at a time. And then once we get to the top, then I'll like smooth things out. Like, so I would say everyone like needs that time to like admire your art, and what a great opportunity to like set something up.
And again, it's a system. It was a system for me, not only to build deeper connection with that client, because I want to see them more, because the more I see them, the more I'm getting paid. But also I was taking a lot of care in the art that I was doing.
I was going to say,
it was important to me to do it at the highest level. And I remember seeing tattooers who would finish a tat, and I would just think like, man, you could saturate that more. There was a little spot on this section of red didn't come out as far as this section of red. And if you took the extra little time, wow, to us, that's noticeable. And it makes to somebody the client that doesn't have as nurtured visual vocabulary as we do, we're going to see that quick, but they will feel something different about that. They're going to see their buddies, and they're going to see the eye is trained to just, it sets itself apart. So it was super important to me to do that, for sure.
It's weird to say, but like I tattoo for my clients, but I tattoo for other tattooers, because I'll always be someone that's like, I love that you love to get tattooed by me, but like I want you to also get tattooed by other people, unless we're doing like a sleeve or suit. I'm like, please leave this space for what we got going on. But like, nothing's more intimidating than someone I've tattooed a lot sitting on a table of someone that's extremely good at tattooing and then having them stare at my tattoo for 4 hours. I'm like, this gotta be like, I don't need my name going around the town within our peers and be like, that guy doesn't give a shit about buttoning up the little things.
Right. Well, like, because we talked about a while back where early on in our careers, I'm sure you might have been similar, like, you know, you're still figuring it out, like you're laying down a good tattoo, but you're not the best in the biz yet. And then you have a client come in and they've got like fucking grade A neotrad, and they're like, hey, I want you to do this banger for me or whatever. And you're kind of nervous a little bit. But then also the flip is true, where they're like, they come in with a bunch of prison shit, and they're like, hey, will you do this tattoo? And you're like, I'm about to give you the best tattoo.
And it does. It stands out.
I honestly feel bad sometimes. Like there's people with tattoos they've worn for a very long time that were done improperly, and I'm like, I kind of like feel bad, because like your tattoos all looked fine because they were all really bad, but then you throw that one really detailed piece in, and then it makes all their tattoos like they're now looking at it like, damn, I like kind of need you to fix, or you know, whatever.
But that's like,
it's more business. So
it's more business, and it's educational.
It is
in the harshest of sense.
Look like
and I think, look, when you don't have any tattoos, or you have a bunch of tattoos and you get one that's really, really good, or you get one that fills up the space, the more you get, the more little spaces I see that I need to get filled. It's just like what you were saying. The more the more good tattoos I get, the more I see that my shitty tattoos are shitty.
Right.
And it goes both ways. So yeah, man, I think it's great. Teach them those lessons.
Honestly, no, people need, because we've all been at parties, weddings, whatever, and people are looking at like really well done tattoos, and they're like, "Damn, I didn't know they could look like that." And they're like, "Now I'm kind of interested in getting one because
for sure."
Yeah, I'll have clients text, where you do no black, and it's just like a hyper-realism poppy flower. And they're like, I'm getting stalked all the time because people think it's like a sticker on me. Like, they didn't know a tattoo could, this is like backwoods North Carolina, people may not know. But it's just interesting how we see tattoos every day. We know what people are capable of. But like the general public, they really don't know a great tattoo from like an okay tattoo.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done like painterly flowers on clients, and I see them for the next session or the next tattoo, and I'm like, they're like, oh, I went home and I showed my mom, who hates tattoos.
Yeah, and she loved it.
And she thought it was beautiful. And I was like, yeah, but that's because like it doesn't really look like your mom is of a generation where most of those tattoos were kind of shitty, and they didn't even know that you could do a tattoo like that.
Yeah, and they were also probably associated with certain type of person,
right?
And so she now sees this person that she loves and this imagery that is really readable to her, right? It's within her visual vocabulary for her to go, oh wow, flower. And a really beautiful flower, And so she now associates these things together, and it's a whole new aha moment for her. Grandma, you might see grandma down here next week.
I've tattooed a bunch of moms and gam-gams. Yeah,
I love it when you tattoo daughter, mom, and gam.
Oh yeah, you really
the
feel
whole
like
generation,
the family dentist.
Yeah,
dude, I have so many clients that are like, my son's getting to be, he'll be 18 next month, and he's been asking about tattoos. And I was like, as long as you go to Dray, you can get a tattoo, but nowhere else, like you're like the family dentist.
Right. Yeah, totally.
I love that.
They carry you down. Yeah.
So we don't have a ton of time left, but I wanted to ask, like, for Tattoo Pro, we're at the bar, 5-minute pitch.
Yeah, totally. I think we covered a little bit of it in the sense that it is a tool to help you run your business better. And if you're thinking about your business of tattooing as a business, then you should be looking into tools that are going to help curate that experience for your clients and make your job more efficient and effective. Meaning you can focus on the creative work and your business can run really smoothly. And so, from lead capture, and we draw a line in the sand. Like, we don't do a lot of it's not lead generation. So it's lead capture, but wherever that comes from, cold DMs, referral, leads that are being generated by a marketing agency, wherever that happens, and a lead comes in, we capture it. It's a CRM. Now you can actually communicate. We have two-way communication in the system. You can communicate with that client. You can get them booked on a calendar. You can collect a deposit when they come in, digital consent form. It's super simple, keeps everything locked in for your health department. You can add notes and pictures to those things. So if you have to document the stuff that you're doing, batch numbers, lot numbers of your inks and needles and things like that, that's all MOCRA stuff that's happening more and more in different areas. It's right there for you. Super easy. And what I am seeing more and more of are shops, collectives working together. So yes, there's one owner, but that owner is saying, you know what, let's get you on a great commission. We're going to maybe even make that a rising commission based on how much you're making. And let's work together, meaning let's all centralize our booking. You can use the mobile companion app to communicate. If I need to jump in and help you, I will. I can. If you can collect a deposit, it's all going to come into the shop, but then shop can easily pay those artists out, and the artists can watch. So they can watch their commission rise on their mobile app also.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've seen a big shift being made is, one, artists want to have some of the help by the shop. So they're willing to go back onto a commission-based model, a percentage model. They're willing to centralize their booking and their communications to have some team effort around what they're doing. And they don't want to look at Zelle and Venmo and PayPal and, tap to pay and all these different cash. And it's 7 different places at the end of the year when they want to do their taxes that they have to pull numbers from. And it's a pain in the ass. And they can just go to their boss, or they can go to their system and just go report, click, boom, it's done. And they have it all right there. And one of the cool things we've implemented recently is Klarna. So you can do, get approved now and pay later. And so people that are wanting to do big sleeves and bigger back pieces, you want to get tattooed by Carlos or Jeff,
right?
And you now could say get approved for that $5,000 back piece, and the merchant can grab that money from Klarna. Klarna will pay you. So the merchant has it. It's in their bank account, and it's on a credit in their client's lead record in the system. So client comes in, gets tattooed, boom, just gets pulled off till it's done. So there's a lot of ways to use technology these days. Tattoo Pro, I think, is great. I've been there as a shop owner and struggled with fighting creativity and business stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a way for you to run your business like a business and separate yourself from the masses, right? There's going to be a bigger divide happening in tattooing. And you're going to see more and more shops that aren't willing to get on this train of advance what we're doing and run our business successfully like a business. And they're going to keep falling off and being down here. And you're going to have these successful shops that are not going to, they're going to get on a system like Tattoo Pro, and they're going to use that tool to do to run their business more effectively. So
for sure.
Yeah,
is Tattoo Pro like regulated to just like commission shops?
So
is there a way to use it? If it's
if you're an artist, so this is where you get the most bang for your buck, right? It's not that the subscription per month is a huge bill, right? It's not. Right. We keep it very reasonable. One of the reasons that we do that is because we want you to be a payments partner with us. We're a processor, so you're not going to have to use Venmo, Square, Clover, Zelle, all these different options. You can keep it all.
You're getting like 2% of every transaction.
2.99% plus 15 cents is our processing fee, but you can surcharge. So you can surcharge that. You don't have to pay those fees.
Add
you can
3%
put,
on
you
top.
Just add a 3% on top. Totally legal in most places. Now I think Colorado might be, I think surcharge compliance is 2%.
Okay.
So you still might have to pay a 0.9%, whatever.
Yeah.
But you can put some of that on the client, and look, for a convenience of being able to pay with a card, the client doesn't mind that. We've seen that shift happen. And so, yes, shops that are percentage based want to work on a centralized booking, work as a team, centralize their point of sale, help each other out, and really build a community around their shop. It works the best. Can an artist who's an individual artist who's doing decent revenue come in and get all of their systems in one place as well? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You might not use all of the little features in there. You're not going to use commission tracking, but I was just talking to a guy yesterday, and he's signing up tomorrow, and he is going to use commission tracking in a sense of like he's going to set himself up with because he works at 2 different shops. Okay. So he's going to set himself up different. He's going to track 2 different people, essentially. Like, this is what I'm doing at this shop. This is what I'm doing at this shop. He can easily run a centralized calendar, and so he's going to use the software in a unique way, and you can do that. It's a robust,
Interesting,
creative software that you can. And again, bottom line, guys, it's built for tattooing. So everybody's to a certain degree running a similar, like from interest to getting paid, and you're providing a service. You've got to get them on the calendar. You've got to collect the deposit. You should send out an appointment reminder.
right?
All of these things are standard, whether you're an individual artist, which you can use the software as an individual artist, or you're running 27 people at a super big shop and everybody's doing sleeves and back pieces. We have shops like that too.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Question for just anyone that's interested. Does the price change depending on how many artists are in the shop?
Yeah. So that's typically what happens. Like there's
Is
a couple
there like
variables.
a price per head almost kind of?
Yeah. Like anybody that's on our, that would say like up to 5 artists, you know, more than 2, up to 5, you're going to be on our growth plan, middle tier. Anybody that is above 6 or more, including like multi-location, you want multi-location functionality. Even if you have less people, you're going to want to be on our ultimate. And with the ultimate, you also get some additional account management, customer success support type of stuff. You get some customized interest forms and booking forms and things like that that are just above and beyond what you're going to get. And again, very reasonable for somebody as a monthly bill that you're going to have to pay. You do the tattoo math on it. It's not even half of a normal tattoo that people, not even half of a palm-sized tattoo.
Okay,
for sure.
So it's very reasonable. And again, we're about to see a waterfall moment in tattooing, I believe, where more and more people are realizing that, okay, yeah, I have to get on technology to do some of these things that are going to, again, differentiate me from the masses and just automate stuff that I don't want to do.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
I had one last thing to talk about. We spoke the other day, had a good conversation about like lessons we've learned being in the industry, and just anything you have to say to like young tattooers that are getting into this. And
yeah, absolutely. One, approach it with youthful enthusiasm and intentionality, and don't be afraid to innovate. You know, in 2009, you know, we were talking about it before the show. In 2009, I put out these instructional DVDs. I took a lot of shit for it. It wasn't even anything about, like, it was cursory to tattooing. I wasn't telling anybody how to do any techniques in tattooing, which now you can find those all over Instagram.
Right. Sure.
This was really about how to paint tattoo flash and how to draw some very basic tattoo style drawing elements, right? Roses and flames and waves and things like that. Yeah, breaking down certain things. And painting flash was breaking down all those lessons that I had, you know, found out and really had developed a system to paint. And going through all that shit, like people really talking shit about me and trying to really suppress what I was doing. It led me to relationships with suppliers and other people that wanted to benefit me. That's why I was at those conventions, doing those podcasts at the from a stage. I was selling DVDs in America, in Germany, in Japan through big suppliers like Kingpin and some of these other Guy Atchison supply company. And so what that taught me was, you know, the people talking shit aren't paying my bills. And do everything you can, if you have a passion about it, to advance yourself and advance those around you. Yeah. My idea with putting out those instructional DVDs and courses was, if somebody's painting better, if they're drawing better, they're going to do better tattoos, which ultimately levels up the whole thing. Yeah. So rising tides lifts all ships. That was my thought on it. And so to anybody out there, there's so much opportunity to innovate. There's so much opportunity to advance. There's so much opportunity in all these different areas that we've talked about tonight. Art, experience, everything. And so don't be afraid to do it. Just follow your heart and take massive action.
Heck yeah, dude.
Amen.
I love it.
That's
Love
awesome.
it. All right, guys.
That's it?
Anything else?
No, I think that's, yeah, I think
Thank
that's
you
it.
guys.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming
Thank
on,
you.
man. It
Look,
was great talking.
I appreciate it so much. Look, I did a podcast, right? I've done many of them. And I had the first tattoo podcast in 2012, telling stories about tattooing, the stuff that gets told in these, between these walls. And what you guys are doing, taking time out, I so appreciate it.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
inviting me into your shop.
Of course,
Thank you for having me on the show. And thanks to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate, everybody's interest in tattooing. It's given me a lot. And so thanks.
Means a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Like, comment, share, subscribe.
You know the
share
drill.
with the homies.
And we'll get all these artists we talked about up on the show, and we'll do shout outs and all the things. So
Love it.
all
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
next time, guys. Thank you. Love you.
Adios. Love you.